Fab. Okay, I think we'll get started. Um, so thank you for inviting me to talk to you today. My name is Caris Jenkins. I'm representing the British Heart Foundation, and I'll spend a little bit of time this morning talking to you about how the charity supports and impacts families across Wales. So as I said, my name is Caris. You can see on the screen, my job title is Community Fundraising Manager, and I cover all of South Wales. I've been proudly working for the charity for about 2 years now. I really love my job. I feel motivated by it every day. And I'm very lucky that through the fantastic people that I meet, I get to hear about the impact that the charity has made on their lives. So as you can see, the charity was founded in 1961, and we've been funding vital research that has made a huge impact ever since. So we often say that the BHF research is life-saving, which it is, but I know that that can be quite hard to hear for people who will have sadly lost friends or loved ones to heart-related conditions. So I prefer to say that it's life-changing because the treatments and now the possible cures do continue to change and improve lives every day. Okay, so did you know that each day your heart beats around 100,000 times? So this continuously pumps about 8 pints of blood around your body, and it's through a network of blood vessels called your circulatory system. So in one day, your blood travels around 12,000 miles, which is basically from here to Japan and back again. So it's doing a lot of work. If you stretched your circulatory system out, it would stretch more than 60,000 miles, which is long enough to go around the world more than twice. So all of that is inside your body. So your heart and your circulatory system basically work together. So they deliver the blood to your organs in your body so that they can function properly. So obviously your heart is a very incredible organ, but if it's not beating properly, which means that your blood is not traveling around your body properly, then we know that that can lead to all sorts of other problems too. So before we start, I'll run through a couple of quick quiz questions with you. So what does the British Heart Foundation do? So raise money to fund research, cures and treatments, fund research to scientific breakthroughs, support heart patients through a cardiac helpline, or sell furniture and electrical products. So I often hear that people think of us as just being a research charity, but in fact that's not the case. And we do offer wonderful support and information to people affected by heart conditions too. So you can see we do all of those things. How many people are living in the UK with a heart or circulatory disease? So there's a couple of answers there for you. I'll give you a hint. There's around 340,000 people in Wales who live in with a heart or circulatory condition, but in the UK it is in fact 7.6 million people. And on average, how many babies are diagnosed with a congenital heart defect? So there's a couple of answers there for you, and this is each day. And the answer is actually 13. So 13 babies every day are diagnosed with a congenital heart defect. And then here, so someone in the UK dies from a heart or circulatory disease, and there's a couple of options there in terms of how often we think that is. And you may have guessed, but it is in fact every 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes, someone will die from a heart or circulatory disease, which is basically about the same amount of time it takes to make a cup of tea. It's just quite shocking to think of. And again, so this is a nice one. Who do the BHF support? There's a couple of options there. So people over the age of 75, mums or dads, women between 18 and 30 years old, or babies born with heart disease. Well, hopefully you won't be surprised to know that the answer is everyone. I like to say everyone with a heart, because basically if you've got a heart, then any of the work that we're doing obviously will support you at some point in your life if you need it. And what percentage of independent research into heart and circulatory disease is funded by the British Heart Foundation? in the UK. So again, there's a couple of answers there, but it's actually 55%. So if you think over half, basically, of all of the independent research that happens in the UK that focuses on heart and circulatory disease is carried out by the British Heart Foundation. So you probably won't be surprised to know then that we are the biggest independent funder. We will fund the world's very best scientists and researchers and the best ideas. And that's just a little diagram to show you where some of the other research comes from. We're really passionate about the research that we fund, and obviously we think it's our sort of public duty to make sure that we only funding the best scientists and the best work, because we don't receive any government funding. So everything that we do as a charity and all the research we fund is purely based on donations from the public. We do know that as much as we are funding, we need to be funding more, because new sort of advances are happening all the time. And our research starts with the heart, but it doesn't stop there. So things like heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, vascular dementia, they're all connected and they're all under our microscope. And we also look at things like risk factors, family history, and the links between how one condition can lead to another. And I'll just take you back to before the British Heart Foundation, 1961, before, the year we were founded. So if you were to have a heart attack, you would be given a painkiller and nothing else. So there'd be no aspirin, no operation, nothing. You probably wouldn't survive. But if you did survive, you would be bedbound for a month, and you'd basically just be told to take it easy forever. But you probably wouldn't get much of it forever, because the chances are that you'd very likely have another heart attack soon. And obviously, your chances of surviving wouldn't be as great. So that year, over half of UK deaths were from heart or circulatory diseases. And that was when the charity was founded. I'll just through. I do have a video here, which I'll try and play. I'll click here. I think that works. So as you can see from the video, we've come really far, but there's still much more that we need to do. Every 3 minutes, as I mentioned, somebody will still pass away from heart or circulatory disease. And we know that it causes great untold heartbreak for millions of families every year. Although we have made great strides, there are, new challenges that face us now in terms of people are living longer. There's other conditions that they're developing which will affect the heart, and there's other ways of living that will also have an impact on your heart and your circulatory system. And for example, people are living with vascular dementia in the UK for a lot longer. So it's expected to double in the next 30 years. Risk factors like obesity and diabetes are also having a big part in impacting people's lives. So there's a lot more that we need to do. And globally, more people die each year from heart or circulatory disease than from any other cause. So it's a #1 killer of men in the UK, and it actually kills twice as many women as breast cancer does. In Wales, we're fighting for every heartbeat. We want to stop heart attacks and strokes, cure heart failure, and end sudden death. And just to give you a bit of an idea, so South East Wales, which is kind of the region that I'm in, there's 69,000 people that are living with heart or circulatory diseases. And around every 130 minutes, someone in Wales dies from a coronary heart disease. But we're on a mission to build a nation of lifesavers. So there's around 2,800 out of hospital cardiac arrests in Wales every year. So that is if someone were to sort of have a cardiac arrest in maybe a school or a workplace or out in the community, sports centres, shopping. They're what we call out of hospital cardiac arrests. And in Wales, our survival rates, as you can see, are really low. So only 1 in 20 people currently survive that, whereas the UK average is actually 1 in 10. So we need to do a little bit more. So I'll come back to that later. And we've never been more needed. You can see, things here like around 44% of us adults in Wales don't meet the physical activity requirements. So it's things like that where we need to put more focus as well. And every hour the NHS spends £1 million treating heart and circulatory diseases, but we know that it's not enough. Just to run you through the landscape of future breakthroughs. So clinical trials in preventing vascular dementia, bionic pacemakers to slow the progression of heart failure, stem cell technology to examine the effect of coronavirus, and genetic breakthroughs for targeted care of relatives of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So they are all, as you can tell, very big scientific words and ideas. But I think it's important to remember the people behind that and the hearts that keep this momentum beating. So it's people like Russell. He was just 35 when a stroke robbed him of the ability to speak. Or ladies like Soma, she has high blood pressure and an irregular heart rate. She was diagnosed with diabetes when she was pregnant with her son. So we're looking at prevention of management of risk factors. And it's also children like baby Nino. He was born with a type of congenital heart disease called transposition of the great arteries. But basically, Nino's life was saved because, 40 years before he was born, a BHF professor had developed an operation which is known as the arterial switch, and it was able to fix babies born with this condition. So, when Nino was born, he was able to have that operation. So it's thanks to our research in the decades previously that he has a future ahead of him now. So as you can see, we fund research that saves and improves lives. None of it is possible, though, without donations and local support. Things like heart transplants, pacemakers, stents, and portable defibrillators, they're all breakthroughs that have been possible through to people like yourselves and organisations that have helped us to fund this incredible work. So with your support, we have the power to do so much more. So if you're motivated or inspired today by the talk, we do have the power to continue investing in research and continue developing treatments for babies, young people, everyone really that's affected by heart conditions and their families and loved ones. And how can you do this? So you can create sort of a fundraising partnership or agreement with the British Heart Foundation. You can take on one of our events, or you can decide to do something of your own and do your own event. If you know of any companies locally that are looking for a charity to support, you can nominate us for that. You can volunteer your time with us as well, or leave a gift in your will. They come in all shapes and sizes. We've actually had in Wales a dairy farm that was left to us by someone in their will. We also have things like first edition books or even property. So there's lots of ways that wacky ways that people support us. And volunteering your time is also really, really important as well. So we've got lots of shops and we also have a sort of network of fundraising groups across Wales that you can get involved in. This, for example, is one of our lovely groups in Barry who did a fish and chips lunch for their Heart Month. So every February we have Heart Month, and we ask people to go red or do an activity or put on an event during Heart Month. And they had a fish and chip lunch, which looks fab, and they raised £250. So you can see it's not all climbing mountains or running marathons. You can also donate any of your unwanted items to our shops. We've got drivers that will come and pick things up as well. And we have, we've got a range of different shops. So there's fashion and homewares, and there's also furniture and electricals and things like that. So I think we've got about 50 or 60 shops across Wales that you can visit or donate your items to. And we've also got a brilliant scheme as well with some of the universities called Pack for Good. So when the students are leaving their homes or leaving their student accommodation, they will be able to donate their items to us because our delivery drivers will go and collect them all. If you'd like to have some more information as well about ways that you can keep your heart healthy, if you have been diagnosed with a heart condition or you know someone that has, or if you've got any concerns or questions, we would obviously always direct you to see your GP in the first instance. But we do also have a free heart helpline open from Monday to Friday, and you can ring and speak to a specialised cardiac nurse. So that's, some peace of mind if you've got any questions or concerns. And you can subscribe to our free Heart Matters magazine, which basically gives you lots of recipes, tips, advice, exercises that are good for the heart, things like that. And there's leaflets and things that you can order from our website as well. So if there's anyone wants to know anything more, please do want to use one of these options or feel free to get in touch. And before I sort of finish, I would like to just take a moment as well to think through, if you can, think through the last words that you said to someone that you love in the last 24 hours. So maybe you left this morning and you said, see you tonight. Maybe something, call me after school. If you think of the last thing that you said to someone that you love in the last 24 hours, whatever that was, now imagine that those words were the last thing that you ever got to say to them. So in the half hour really that we're on the call this morning, that horrible thought would be the reality for 10 families in the UK. A heart condition is often a sudden killer. It can just be hiding in your body and it can show no symptoms, unfortunately, until it's too late. There's no warning and there's no chance to say goodbye. Everyone has a heart that's precious to someone else, and when one heart stops, as you can imagine, countless more are devastated. And despite how far we've come, as I mentioned, every 3 minutes in the UK, someone will die from a heart or circulatory condition. Every 3 minutes is the time that it takes to make a cup of tea. So, please sort of think about that when you are making a cup of tea, that, our work is really urgent and really needed. And the research that we're able to fund, thanks to partnerships and individuals who are taking on challenges and events and things like that for us, really does make a huge impact now and in the years to come. And with your support together, we will save more lives. So there's again some pictures there of lots of the different ways that people have supported the charity over the years, and obviously the research then that we're able to fund in thanks to that. It's really is, when we talk about the world's best scientists, there's some of our professors that we've been funding their entire 40-year career, and they're not just based in Wales, they're not just based in the UK, they're based all over the world. And the one thing that I think is amazing about the work of the British Heart Foundation as well is that any discoveries that we make here in the UK will have the same impact globally, because we're able to share that information, obviously, to other researchers and to other health professionals across the world, and it helps advance their research and their treatments too. So sometimes we might be funding university and funding research in Cardiff University that can go on and change the face of heart healthcare for many people all over the world. So thank you very much for listening to me today. As I said, my name is Caris. That is me in hearty costume. But he's our special mascot, comes along for some of our events and activities, and everyone always enjoys that. And as I said, heart and circulatory disease, it will touch us all at some point in our lifetimes, whether through ourselves or our friends and family. But with your support, we can help keep blood flowing, hearts beating, and families together for longer in Wales. I will give some time for some questions, but as we've got a little bit of time, I would like to sort of go back and talk to you about one or two of the things in a little bit more detail. So I mentioned earlier that there are 2,800 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests in Wales every year, and only 1 in 20 people survive in Wales. So the British Heart Foundation know how important it is when someone is in cardiac arrest. And just in case you're not aware, cardiac arrest is basically an electrical fault in your heart, whereby your heart either stops beating altogether or is drastically changed, drastically slowed, and it's not pumping the blood around your body. If you were to have no intervention, so there was no CPR and no use of a defibrillator, you wouldn't survive that cardiac arrest. It is the ultimate medical emergency. But we do know that by someone stepping in and performing CPR, which is cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or using a defibrillator, your chances of survival increase by 70%. So what we're doing all across the UK, but particularly our focus here in Wales, is on building a nation of lifesavers. And that's basically by making people more confident in how to perform CPR. So there's someone here using a cushion. We've basically developed an online tool called Reviver. So instead of having to go out and teach CPR in group settings, you can do this at home. All you need is your smartphone and a cushion. If you go onto our website, just type in Reviver, or it probably just come up on the first page, to be honest. You can take 15 minutes on your phone to learn how to do CPR. So it goes through how to make an emergency call, how to recognize that someone is having a cardiac arrest and what to do. And then it'll give you some feedbacks on the compression. So, hopefully you'll know what I mean, but you're basically artificially pumping the blood around the body using your hands by pressing on someone's chest. And then it's sending the blood to the heart and around the body. It's a really interactive session. You use your phone and it sort of records you and it tells you on a barometer if you're doing this fast enough or slow enough. And it does it to a song. So it actually does it to the Bee Gees' Staying Alive song, which is adds a bit of fun, I suppose, to it. But it's just the right beat. So there's a lot of different songs that are needed for the right beat for doing CPR, and that song just happens to be one of them. And there's also a whole playlist on Spotify that we developed that are the right beat as well. Annoyingly, the Baby Shark song, if you know, you know, is one of them. So that's always stuck in my head. So if you take anything away today, please do take 15 minutes to use your phone, do Reviver at home. You can share it to any of your friends or family on WhatsApp to encourage them to do it too. And at the end of the session on your phone, you'll also have the option to create your own digital certificate, which is quite a nice thing to do, to put in any sort of, packs that you've got of all the things that you've achieved. And within that, it also talks about using a defibrillator. So the next slide here. So a defibrillator, hopefully you'll know, is a machine which you put pads on someone's chest and it delivers a shock to their heart. So again, if they're in cardiac arrest, um, you would either perform CPR or use a defibrillator if there's one available. And the defibs have a really good success rate. They won't always save a life. It's important to note that, because there are medical reasons why someone's heart may not start again, but it does really improve the chances. Um, and it basically shocks the heart into sort of restarting and hopefully then going back into the correct rhythm of beats and keeping the blood pumping around the body. Like a really sort of famous example of that would be Christian Eriksen the footballer had the cardiac arrest on the pitch. And, he was very lucky. Obviously, there's a, fantastic medical team there that would assist straight away, but he was given a shock by the defib and, his life was saved on the pitch. Defibrillators are now, thankfully, all around lots of different communities, lots of sports groups, shops, schools, churches have all bought their own because they know how important that they can be. If, for example, if you live near a Tesco, every Tesco will have a defibrillator. The problem that we've come across, though, over the years is that people would buy them, but they wouldn't register them. So the ambulance service wouldn't know that they exist. So if someone rang an ambulance to say this person's in cardiac arrest, they would use a database to find out where the defibs are. But if it wasn't registered, they wouldn't know that. So they wouldn't be able to tell you there's one 200 yards away. For example, there's a website called Defib Finder, and you can put in your postcode and it will bring up the top 10 nearest defibs that are registered. So when I did that, where my mum lives, a little village outside of Newport, they've got a defib in the village for the community hall, but it wasn't coming up. And that's because it's not registered. So it's really important that we register them all, because it would be really tragic if you knew that, if there was a defib that could have been used to save someone's life, but people didn't know to go and find it. And that has happened so many times. So which is why the British Heart Foundation developed this online database called the Circuit. You can go on and you can basically register a defib. So if you're part of a sports club, organisation, pub, restaurant, shop, anywhere, and you know that there's defib, please check that it is registered on this circuit. And if it's not, you can encourage the person who is kind of responsible for it to do that. Oh, there we are. And I think that's everything that I wanted to talk to you about. So I'll just go back to the questions slide. I can't see you all the chat function, but if anyone's got any questions, please let me know. And maybe if I stop sharing, I'll be able to see it there. Obviously, anyone's able to get in touch with myself. My email address is just on here on the screen, actually. And, on our website, as I mentioned, we've got the cardiac helpline, the heart helpline that you can call and speak to a cardiac nurse. You can get in touch with myself if you're interested in volunteering or fundraising in any way. If you're local to one of our shops, you can just pop in and have a chat. Or on our website, there is a portal called My Volunteer. You can sign up on My Volunteer, just put your details in, put your postcode in, and then it will alert you. You'll get a notification by email of any sort of opportunities that are happening in your area. So that's also a way to sort of keep in touch with us. And if anyone does have any questions, specifically around heart healthcare or anything like that, please do feel free to get in touch. But thank you for your time this morning. I hope that it's given you a little bit more information about the British Heart Foundation as a charity, what we do, and in the ways that we support people. One of the campaigns actually that we've just launched, which if you're in South Wales, you may have seen on Wales Online, or you may have seen the mural, but basically we've done some research, and every week in the UK, 12 young people will lose their life to a sudden cardiac death. So that's 12 young people under the age of 35. We worked with one family in South Wales who really sadly lost their son Jake. He was just 16 years old, and he had a cardiac arrest and unfortunately didn't survive. He was a really keen footballer, so in line with the Euros, we've got this campaign to sort of, highlight the urgency really needed around research into the deaths of young people. And to honour Jake, there's a mural that's been painted of him, really big, lovely, beautiful mural, and it's on Womanby Street in Cardiff. So there's a Wales Online article that you can search for, and you can see the photos there. If you're in Cardiff, please do pop along and have a look. It's really powerful to see, but it's just a reminder that, unfortunately, it's not just the older generation who are affected by heart conditions. Many babies are born with them, and unfortunately, young people will be affected and pass away too. So yeah, thank you for your time and listening this morning. I hope it's been beneficial and you've learned a little bit more about the charity, and thanks so much for taking time on a sunny Friday morning to log into your laptop. I'll stop sharing my screen now. Thanks so much. And then, as I mentioned, if anyone wants to get in touch, please do. But otherwise, I will log out now.